Hi guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. My name is Bailey and this is baby Adeline. She just woke up. She's not very happy. It's okay. But I just wanted to make a quick intro to this video. It's okay, here. She's not a very happy girl. It's okay. But today we are going to be doing things I wish I would have known about labor and delivery. Fair warning, this video is going to be very different than most people and their labor and delivery experience. But my labor and delivery was a rare labor and delivery. So the things I experienced, most people don't. But these are just things I really wish I would have known before I went and experienced all of this. So I really hope you guys enjoy the video. I hope it's, informative. I don't know if that's a word, but yeah. I really hope it helps you guys. I hope it, teaches you some things that can happen during labor and delivery. And that these things are possible, but they are rare, so don't let this video scare you. Or, put you off of your labor and delivery, or just, stay positive about your experience. This was just what happened with mine and what I wish I would have known about it. But if you guys want to learn more about me and baby Adeline, go check out our Instagram. I'll leave it linked down below, or you can just go look up Bailey Stroll 2 on Instagram and you'll get to see more pictures of her and more of our life. Yeah, just make sure you guys like and subscribe before you leave, and we can just jump right into the video. Bye. Okay, so things I wish I would have known about labor and delivery. Okay, well, for just a disclaimer, right now I have the baby monitor on Adeline right now, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. And if you can hear some noise, it might be her monitor. I have it turned down a little bit, but it's still, you can still hear it, so I'm sorry if you can't hear it. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the things I wish I would have known about labor and delivery before I experienced it. So the first thing I wish I would have known is that it can be so different than what you hear about. Like, I've heard a lot of stories of it was just such a great experience, like it was so amazing, just like you're bringing your baby into the world. It's just, I mean, yeah, there's pain involved, but overall it's a great experience. Once you have the baby, you just forget about everything you went through and would do it all over again. So that was everything I heard about labor and delivery. That, you go into labor, yeah, you start having your contractions, you go to the hospital, you get checked, oh, you're having the baby, all this. How most of the stories you hear about labor and delivery. Well, for me, it was nothing like this. I had an awful labor and delivery, but I wish I would have known it could be as awful as it was. I mean, I know that I've heard some bad birth stories about this didn't go right and that didn't go right, or ended in a C-section, but I never heard a story about what happened to me. So about the laboring part, whenever I went into labor, my water broke before I even had contractions. I really did not have contractions at all my whole labor. I was in labor for 24 hours. I also didn't think that was really a thing. I mean, I know I've heard about it a little bit, but I thought it was pretty rare. Like, I thought a lot of videos I've seen on YouTube, like, they go into labor, like 3 hours labor or 4-hour labor, and then bam, they're pushing out the baby next thing you know. Well, for me, it did not go that way. So my water broke at like 9:30 at night. I thought I just peed myself, but nope, it was my water because it just kept leaking. So I told my dad and everything, and he took me to the hospital. My water did break. They admitted me and everything. So I was expecting contractions, like the whole labor experience. Like, I thought I was going to get contractions and then my water was going to break and all this, like, timing the contractions, the debate, like, oh, do I need to go to the hospital or not? So, I mean, it's not that I wish I would have experienced the pain of the contractions, but it would have just been cool to have, like, the whole experience. Like, the contractions start, you're timing them and everything. You're in your head, you're like, oh, is this time? Is it labor? Like, or is it Braxton Hicks? Like, I didn't experience that. So my water broke. I went to the hospital. They admitted me and everything, got me hooked up to IVs and everything, all the stuff they usually do. And I was there for 12 hours. Still nothing was happening at all. Like, at all. I was perfectly fine, just laying in the bed chilling. for 12 hours. So then at the 12-hour mark, they're like, okay, we're gonna start you on Pitocin to try and get your body going. Well, they kept increasing my Pitocin, still felt no contractions at all. And then probably 8 hours after, no, probably like 6 hours after they started the Pitocin, they just kept increasing it. So I'm like, oh my God, like I've literally already been here almost 24 hours and still nothing has happened at all. So it literally just felt like a never ending experience. I was so anxious to meet my baby. I'm like, am I gonna end up in a C-section? What's gonna happen? So I was really never told like labor could be like this. So yeah, so they started the Pitocin, still no contractions. I never really experienced contractions. I started feeling a little bit of pain and they're like, you know, as soon as you start, since you haven't been experiencing contractions, I recommend that as soon as you start feeling a little pain, ask for the epidural. So got the epidural. I heard terrible things about the epidural. It was literally like nothing for me. No, but people say like I don't know how to explain this. People usually say like the epidural is not bad because you're already having so many contractions. Like the epidural needle is like nothing compared to your contractions. Well, I never had the contractions. So they're just sticking a needle in my back. But I really didn't even feel it. Like, I think I was just so anxious to meet her and just, there was so much going on. I just wasn't noticing. I mean, it was kind of weird feeling the pressure and it felt like they were pumping air into my back and stuff. And I was scared the whole time they're gonna paralyze me or something. So I wish I would have read more about the epidural experience also. But getting back to the labor, it was 24 hours before I even started pushing. So I just wish I would have known like labor can take this long and just be this draining. Like even though I wasn't in pain, it was just like emotionally draining and mentally draining because I'm just like, oh, I want to meet my baby. Like this is taking so long. I feel like it's never gonna happen. So then 24 hours later, they're like, all right, time to start pushing. And this is where everything went wrong. Soon as I lay down to start pushing, so I pushed for 3 hours. It literally felt like 30 minutes no, not even 30 minutes. It literally felt like 10 minutes to me, honestly, but it was 3 hours of me pushing. So I wish I would have known that you could be pushing a baby out for 3 hours. Even though it didn't feel that way to me, like it didn't feel like 3 hours, I wish I would have known like it can take that long to push out the baby. So took me 3 hours to push out the baby, and that's when everything started going wrong. So I only remember pushing for a little bit and then I just started going out of it. I remember bits and pieces. I did have a postpartum hemorrhage, which I also wish I would have known that was a possibility of happening to me. So I don't know if I started internally bleeding during the pushing because I don't remember anything about me pushing her out or anything. I just remember bits and pieces here and there of just like the room and people talking to me. I remember like the first 10 minutes. I remember them telling me like her head was crowning and stuff. She has a lot of hair. Like I remember those little bitty bits and pieces, but it did not feel like 3 hours. So I just remember they're trying to get her out. She got stuck and everyone just started, the midwife started calling in all the doctors, everything, because she didn't have air for 3 minutes and she like was dying. So they had to start calling in all the doctors to get the baby out. They had nurses on top of me pushing on my stomach to push her out for me because my body completely gave up on pushing. I don't know if it was just because it was so exhausting, my body trying to push out for 3 hours. I don't even know how I was pushing if I don't even remember pushing. Like I don't remember it whatsoever. So I wish I remembered my delivery story better. Like that is one thing I wish I would have known, is that there's a possibility it can go so wrong and be so different than what everyone else has experienced. So yeah, I wish I would have known that I might not enjoy it, or I might not, that things can go wrong. So yeah, they take her out of me. I do remember some bits and pieces here. They got her out, and she was non-responsive completely. They say the baby's supposed to come out stiff. She was completely like jello. I do remember this part, and that is like the most traumatic thing for me, is remembering this part. I wish I would have remembered everything else besides this part, because it was oh my God, the worst thing that I could ever imagine. Like, I just want to cry thinking about it. But I wish I would have known this was a possibility, because like I almost lost her, but thank God, you know, they were able to revive her and make sure she was okay again. But I wish I would have known. Like, in my brain, I'm like, all right, I just gotta make it to the end of the pregnancy, and you know, I'm gonna have her, she's gonna be alive, she's gonna be okay, like no miscarriage, nothing. So I was just thinking in my brain that I'd get to the end of the pregnancy and I'll have my baby. But I never thought like she could die while I'm giving birth to her and stuff like that. So she was non-responsive when they got her out, and they did revive her. I remember that, but I just remember laying there just bawling my eyes out. They laid her on me. They were like, come on, baby girl, come on, baby girl. I just remember them talking, just trying to get her to respond, like pushing on her, I think, just stuff to get her to respond and come back. I remember bits and pieces of that, but oh, I just wish I would have known that this was a possibility to happen, because I was so unprepared that this stuff could happen while you're giving birth. So I think that's why it was such a shock to my system what all happened to me, because it was just, I never would have thought in a million years this would happen. So yeah, and so after they got her responsive, it was time to worry about me. They called a code blue on me, I believe. I don't know if I was internally bleeding from all the pushing. I don't know exactly what happened, but I was bleeding like crazy. They couldn't get the blood to stop. They were losing me. After they revived her and got her, I started going out. I think honestly my brain and my everything of me held on to life until I knew she was okay. Because as soon as she was okay, that's when I remember I just completely blacked out. My heart rate dropped, my pulse dropped, that's the same thing. Okay, sorry, so my brother just came in here. But yeah, like I was saying, I think that honestly, all of me clung to life until I knew she was okay. Oh yeah, I already said that. But yeah, my heart rate dropped, my blood pressure dropped. I think my dad told me I did die. I don't remember this at all, but he told me like they called the code blue, they started trying to revive me. I remember, I think they put oxygen on me. I don't know what they all had to do to get me back, but I wish I would have known that was a possibility. I wish I would have known I can die giving birth to my baby. Did not even know that. Didn't even think about it. So every single thing about my birth I was completely uneducated about. So I wish I would have just really read up about all the possibilities that can happen. But I also didn't want to stress myself out thinking about all the things that can happen. But it just also kind of sucked being so unprepared and expecting a great labor and delivery, and you know, getting to welcome my baby in the world and remember it all and be there for it all. But yeah, I just wish I would have known that it might not go that way. So yeah, once they revived me, they had to put a balloon inside of me. I never even knew that was a thing. They put some type of balloon to stop the bleeding. Also, my placenta got stuck in me. Didn't know that was possible either. But I don't know how they got it out, but it was stuck in me for a while, and they had to figure out a way to get it out. They almost had to take me into surgery to remove it, but I think the doctors ended up finding a way to get it out. And so yeah, wish I would have known all that was possible. Also, how they do the skin to skin, you know, you get to be the first baby's feeding if you're breastfeeding. You know, just the first hours of your baby being born, like you just are there for it all. That was not the case for me. I didn't get to do skin to skin with her. I didn't get to breastfeed her first because I was out for like 12 hours, or probably about 6 to 12 hours. I'm not sure how long, or 6 to 8 hours after she was born. I had lost so much blood. I was still, you know, hooked up to everything. I was basically just passed out for that long after she was born. So I didn't get to experience the first hours of her life, which made me so sad. Like, oh my God, it made me so sad. And I didn't get to be her first feeding, which I think that messed up our breastfeeding experience quite a lot, that she had a bottle for her first feeding, which that broke my heart. I wanted to breastfeed so bad. I wanted to be her first feeding, like experiencing her latching on for the first time, like everything. I wanted to experience that, and I did not. So I wish I would have known that that was a possibility, that, you know, I might not get to breastfeed. So yeah. Also, I wish I would have known I could be in the hospital for as long as I was. I heard people go to the hospital, have their baby, they're discharged like 48 hours later or 24 hours later, like the next day. No, I was there for 5 days. I wish I would have known I could be there that long and that I wasn't gonna get to leave the next day and go home, or the next 48 hours and go home. So yeah, that sucked that we were in the hospital for that long, because for about 3.5 to 4 of those days we were in our labor and delivery room. You usually don't stay in that room at my hospital. You labor and deliver. About 2 hours later you move to your postpartum room. But in the labor and delivery room, there were no windows at all. You're just completely surrounded by walls, and I was not allowed to leave the bed for the first 3.5 to 4 days. So it was very depressing, just not having any windows around you for that long. So yeah, that sucked, and I wish I would have known that that could happen. Also, I did not get to eat for 3 days. They just had me hooked up to IVs. Wish I would have known, because right after you have a baby, I always watched all the videos of like, oh, they just want to have the biggest meal after they have a baby because you don't get to eat while you're in labor and everything. So I was so excited for my first meal after giving birth, and I did not get to eat for 3 days. I don't remember the exact reasoning. Oh, it was because there was still a balloon inside of me, and to stop the bleeding, and they did not want me to put any food inside my stomach just in case the bleeding wouldn't stop and they had to take me into surgery. So yeah, that's why I was not allowed to eat until they were for sure I was stable and that I wasn't gonna have to go through surgery to save my life again. So yeah, that really sucked, not getting to eat for 3 days because I was starving. Man, there's so much to this. Oh yeah, okay. I'm just trying to like collect my thoughts again. Also, me and Adeline did not get to bond very well at first, which I wish I would have known that was a possibility, because I always heard like, it's different when you're pregnant, but then when you actually have your baby in your arms, it's just like, oh my God, like you love it so much. And I did love her so much, but you just instantly bond with the baby and you just love the baby, and it's like this great experience. And that didn't happen. I didn't really get to hold her a lot the first couple of days because I couldn't really like move at all. So yeah, that kind of messed us up for a little bit for the first couple of weeks, just us not getting to bond a lot at all, and me not getting to spend much time with her because I was still recovering from everything. So yeah, I wish I would have known like that was a possibility. My gosh, there's like literally so many things. I can't even think of them all right now. So yeah. Oh, also, I did not know they give you a catheter whenever you have a baby. I don't know if it's just because I got the epidural. I think it's when you get an epidural they give you a catheter, but I did not know that. And I did not know that they will, well, in my case, they had to leave the catheter in me for 4 days. So, but I was not allowed to move out of my bed for those 4 days either, 3.5 to 4 days. So yeah, I did not know that that can happen either. And also I would see a lot of people snap back, like just get right back to their normal lives, their normal routine, feeling good. After about a week, it took me about 3 weeks to start feeling good again. Oh, I did miss something, but we'll go back and I'll tell you that in a second. But yeah, I didn't know, like I just expected me to recover a lot faster than I did. Yeah, what I was gonna say is I had to have a blood transfusion, which I, didn't even really know what was at the time. And I do remember them asking me when they admitted me into the hospital, will you accept a blood transfusion if you have to get one to save your life? And I was like, yeah, because of course, like it's to save my life. Why wouldn't I accept that? But I really didn't know what it was. And I ended up having to get one because I lost so much blood. And when they gave me the blood transfusion, she put it in my existing IV because I already had an IV, but this IV had been in me for 4 days already when they had to end up giving me the blood transfusion because my blood count was still so low, like too low to leave the hospital. So they wanted to give me a blood transfusion to get it back up before I went home. So when they went to give me the blood transfusion, it was right here in this arm. It was like right over this tattoo, the IV that it was. They hooked me up to the blood transfusion and everything. And I was like, I'm kind of delusional because of everything that happened, but I'm thinking my arm is swelling up. I just remember it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it was hurting so much. I'm like, I don't think this is supposed to be happening. So I just waited a few minutes, and I ended up calling the nurse in because my arm was literally swelling up. Well, the blood was not even going in my vein. It was just going in my arm. So, yeah, I wish I would have known more about blood transfusions before I ended up getting one. And then when they had to put in a new IV for the next blood transfusion, because this one obviously failed. So they tried to put in another IV. They did this IV 8 times before they could get the IV in. It was because I had lost so much blood that my veins had like shrunk down, and they were rolling so easily they literally could not, like, even they had to take my blood so many times to make sure, you know, I wasn't losing more blood, that I was still stable. They had to keep taking my blood, and they kept failing because all my veins would roll. So they had to keep sticking me, and the worst thing though was having to get an IV 8 times because it's those big needles. And they had like probably 10 different nurses that, I mean, throughout the whole experience, that would have to come in because one nurse couldn't get it. So then they bring in another nurse that could try and get it. But I remember with the IV, it took 3 different nurses before they could get the IV in me. So yeah, I wish I would have known that like your veins can roll like that. I wish I would have known that, you know, it might not, I don't know, just like that you can be poked that many times. Like I was probably poked at least 50 times when I was there. And I am terrified of needles also, but not after this experience. I'm fine with needles now. But I just wish I would have known, like, you know, that could happen. Which they did tell me, like, with really sick people and old people that the veins roll a lot. But I was like, I don't know. I never knew that. I never even knew what rolling veins are. I thought, you know, they just stick a needle in you. They do what they need to do and done. No, they could have to stick this needle in you so many times before they can get what they need done. So yeah, I wish I would have known about that. And yeah, I think that's basically everything I wish I would have known. I mean, this video is gonna be different than so many other people's labor and delivery video just because mine was so different than most people's labor and delivery. But in my case, I wish I would have known about everything that happened to me before it happened, because man, that was an experience. But yeah. That was a crazy experience. So yeah, I wish I would have just known the more possibilities of what can happen during your labor and delivery. In my brain, I just had this amazing labor and delivery planned out, and it was just gonna be so perfect. I was gonna welcome my baby in the world, you know, it was just gonna be this amazing experience, and it was not. It was great having my baby brought in the world, but everything else about it was absolutely terrible and so traumatic. And they did warn me that with future babies, I'm very likely to go through all of this again if I want more kids. I guess once you hemorrhage once, it's gonna happen most likely with the next babies you have. So yeah, which that sucks, but I'm still gonna try and have more babies. I'm just gonna leave it in God's hand if I have more babies or not in the future, not anytime soon. But you know, in my future. So yeah, it'll be up to God if it happens to me again, if I get pregnant again. So yeah, I'm just not stressing about it too much. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that this informed you guys about what can happen during your labor and delivery. I hope it didn't scare you though, because this, I read about it, and what happened to me is extremely rare. I think it's like 0.1% this happens to, or 1% or something. I don't know, but I know it's very rare what happened to me. But maybe if you see this video, you just know, oh, like that's a possibility, but I doubt it'll happen to me. So just don't sweat it. Don't, you know, just be prepared for everything, honestly. Just don't have your mind set so much on one thing, like that your labor and delivery is going to go one certain way, because then you're going to be let down if it doesn't go that way. But yeah, don't be scared by this video. But yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know about any other future videos you guys want to see. And have a good day. Bye.